All right, we are here playing Ragdolf, and I am joined by Venter. Thank you so much for coming on the stream.
Thank you for having me.
All right, I'm going to turn the audio down in the game a little bit. Cool. So how about we get started with the first question here while I start playing the game, which is, can you talk a little bit about your background in game development?
Yeah, sure. So about 5 years ago, I I looked it up. It's 5 years ago. That's mind blowing to me already. But about 5 years ago, I wanted to make a game for my friend, and I discovered the Godot game engine, and it was just a plan to make it a really short, simple game. But then I got completely obsessed with the game engine. So yeah, I took like half a year to make one game for him, and it was really fun. And then yeah, I just continued making games. In 2021, I made my itch.io account, and there I participated in the first GMTK Game Jam or my first GMTK Game Jam, of course. And yeah, I made a game called Brain Reunion, and it became really popular because I uploaded it early because I had a deadline for school the next day. So apparently, apparently because of that, a lot of people saw my game because it was one of the first games up there, and yeah, that was really mind blowing. But in the end, the actual results of the games, the ratings weren't that good. It was just a lot of views. And then I thought to myself, okay, I'll do everything to beat a GMTK game jam another year. And then, yeah, I participated previous year. It didn't go that well because I also didn't have that much time to work on my game. But this year I took just all the time I had, and I made this game, and I won. I was really surprised by it, but yeah, I got top 20 game.
That's awesome. So you went from self-taught to one experience that you weren't exactly happy with the results, and then you've sort of gotten all the way through to setting aside the time and like following through on your goal of like, was it, was it about the ratings, or was it about just making something that you were personally happy with?
I think the first year that I did, I really didn't expect much, but I got like 6,000 views or something. It was really insane for me at the time. It still is really insane, by the way. But yeah, at that point, I just thought I'm gonna make a cool game. But at that point, I just thought, oh, I'll make a cool game. But after this, I just became completely obsessed. Maybe my view of how many views I should get was also a bit twisted.
Skewed? Yeah,
for that year. Yeah, because this year before the results got in, I got like 200 views or something, and that was really not that much. I thought there's no way I'm gonna win with this amount of views. But then I watched Mark Brown's video, and I was just shocked. I was just really, really happy. And yeah, that's it.
Nice. I think what we're seeing here is a great combination. I've said this before, but like some of the best game jam experiences come from novel concepts with a just clean and simple execution, where it's like it's very easy to wrap your head around. It's a golfing game, but instead of when you hit the ball, it goes, you hit the ball and you go. Like you kind of, your brain immediately like wraps around, understands the idea. And then from there, it's just a matter of like how you iterate on that idea. And as we're seeing in this current level, where you have to like launch yourself and like wall jump back and forth, the difficulty of it certainly escalates quickly. But maybe that's just because I need more experience with the controls. How difficult do you find the game personally as the sort of like developer?
As the developer, I find it way too easy. That's something you'll always find, but I learned from previous years already. oh, the game is going to be way harder than you actually think, and then I still make it way too hard. I got some comment about how hard the game was. So yeah, as a developer, you fine tune the controls kind of to how you like it, and that's why you think it's way too easy, but it's not really easy. It's a very difficult game actually. But
that's okay.
yeah, I find it personally really easy, but I understand that not everybody thinks the same.
Well, I'm going to keep doing my best here. But can you talk a little bit about the inspiration behind the game?
So yeah, I wasn't really inspired by a very specific game or something, but of course I was inspired that, like, how do I say it? I wanted to make something physics based because I recently started making other physics based games in Godot or Godot or however you want to say it, and not really finishing them and uploading them to itch.io or something. But I really like physics because yeah, you can just, so much stuff can happen, and I think that's a really fun thing. So but yeah, I didn't really, when the jam starts, you have like a very short time to actually think of your idea. I wanted to spend not that much time, but I just thought to myself, oh, what are others gonna make? Well, then I won't be making that. And yeah, that's about it. I wouldn't really say I was very inspired by a different game, but I knew I wanted to do something slapstick. I saw from a previous year that Mark Brown, or GMTK, the guy behind it himself, also likes those kinds of slapstick games. One thing that what inspired me a little bit was in 2021 there was this game that had a girl that was stuck to a lamppost with her tongue.
Yeah.
I wanted to do something funny like that. And yeah, as for the graphics, I was making a little while ago a game called Monster Valley, and I inspired the graphics kind of based on that, but it's not a game you'll recognize because nobody has played it. But
so
yeah.
Is the art all hand drawn?
Yeah, it's all, I drew it all in Krita within the time limit.
Wow.
And that's what I spent most of the jam on, actually. The code wasn't really that difficult to make, but the art just took really, really, really long.
Yeah, so I think, okay. This is a very difficult level, but I think it's because I'm just approaching everything with like maximum strength. I'm realizing that maybe secret is to...
I saw some players in this level try to hit every single ball even, and that made it maybe a little bit confusing, but you can just shoot very far on the first one and then a little bit on the last one. So charge at the end, not all the way in the air.
Yeah, I had a feeling that some of these might just be red herrings and it's not strictly necessary to hit all of them, but no. It's still sort of like the difficulty of like the nuance or the finesse of like getting the angles exactly right. Not that I mean, well, I should ask, do you have any plans to continue development to this game?
I don't, and as I just mentioned, the art is all hand drawn, and that's kind of also the reason why I won't be developing further on it, because it just took so long to make the art. And yeah, I won't really be making many other changes, to adding like new levels. Maybe you've played them already, but there's 6 remix levels that are just Storm, and all I had to do was add a couple of lines of code to the player and add some wind effects, and then I could just reuse all the art, and that was a really nice way to kind of make more content more quickly. So maybe I'll add another game mode or something in a similar way like that, but for the rest I'm not really planning on updating it. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I I updated it after the game jam. I also added one quality of life change that is just a restart button. So if someone suggests a quality of life change that would just be really good for the game, then I might also implement that.
Okay, well, because along those lines, I'm in fact, I bet you've already seen suggestions for this, but having a sort of a reticle that shows like your predicted arc that your character is going to fly on when they strike the ball. Just because I find that what's particularly difficult about this level is, for me at least, is figuring out exactly where to stand so that I am lining up with one of the balls that I need to hit.
Right. Yeah. I guess I could make something like that. That's a good quality of life change, but I would need to look into how to program something like that.
Yeah, because it depends on how you're doing the physics. If it's deterministic, then it would be very easy to just sort of run the physics calculation X many steps in the future. Like I've done that for like a grenade throwing prediction arc in 2D and not in Godot. But yeah, you basically just run the calculations that exist on a virtual version of the character through multiple steps, and you. Sorry.
All just at once.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. You just do you use like a loop or something, and as you build out that loop, you index the positions of where they're going to fall along that arc, and that allows you to draw a line between all those points in the end, and then whatever the terminus point is, it's a loop. You decide how many steps you want there to be. Maybe that loop goes as far until you hit a collision. Maybe maybe it's just a fixed number of steps, whatever the case may be. Because predicting a bounce might be too difficult. I know I certainly didn't bother to do that. I just predicted here's the arc that you're going to throw this grenade on.
Right.
And you just draw like a little green circle representing the character. So if I were to make any one suggestion, that might be nice, but not an absolute necessity. Just something that could help on this level, especially because it's giving me so much trouble.
I think it might still really be a difficult level because you're moving so much in the air, and that while charging your line, how would you call that line? The Angry Birds line, I guess.
Oh yeah, you're like the power meter, or
oh no, I mean more like in Angry Birds when you launch back the bird. You see this line of dots, right?
Yeah, that's the sort of prediction.
Yeah, something like that. The prediction line. Yeah. But of course, the line's arc also changes depending on how far you've charged it.
Yes, and that was something that in the grenade example I mentioned as well. Like the longer the player held the button down, the more initial power I would give to the arc. But you should still be able to account for that. Like each frame, you're just increasing that initial velocity, and then as the gravity sort of decreases your height, then the calculations should still be accurate. But are you using like just sort of Godot like box 2D physics, or are you using like a by hand calculation?
I don't use the physics that are already in Godot. Everything is just programmed myself. I have a how are they called in this version of a kinematic body, and it just there's no standard gravity on the body or something. If you just put that thing in the engine and run the game for the first time, there literally nothing will happen. It will just stand still. So the gravity, the physics of the swing, all of that happens just by my own code.
Okay, well that actually sounds like it'd be easier to determine then, because like if you use box 2D, it's not necessarily deterministic, but the way you're describing it sounds like it is. Like theoretically, you could run the same calculation multiple times and it would give the same results. That's very important.
Really fast, yeah.
Okay, well, we can move on to the next question then, which is what was the actual development process like for the game?
So, I live in Europe. You too, probably? I'm not sure.
But, I'm in Canada, actually. I'm in Canada actually.
You're in Canada.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I've been to Canada once.
Oh,
That's really
awesome.
nice. Yeah. But no, when the game jam starts here, it's like 8 o'clock in the evening.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So the first night I just spent really short, um, a little bit of a brainstorming session, and I think of, okay, what will I make? I want to make something that is really easy to understand. I want to make something that's a little bit funny in a sort of way, and I want to make something that others aren't making,
Hmm.
because that's what I did my first year of the GMTK Jam. I spent time on my game, but it wasn't really that original. So a lot of other people thought of the same thing, and I don't want to repeat that same process. So that's kind of what I went along with, and yeah, I didn't really spend too much time on this phase because I just want to get going and get some ideas and share them on a Discord server and get some feedback maybe. And then I'll just get going. And yeah, I just spent the first day programming the physics that I want, and I didn't really touch them later. That way I can build the levels around the already existing physics.
Yeah.
As you maybe can see, there's not really any very different mechanics other than just the base mechanics, and that was also just because I just want to draw the levels and not much more.
Yeah,
But
of
yeah,
course.
first night was most of the programming, and then I spent I spent the night. I bought a lot of energy drinks, so I
Oh, jeez. Okay.
stayed up very late. I wasn't Yeah, that was very fun. I always look forward to that in the GMTK game jam.
Ooh.
But oh, you almost had it.
So how much sleep did you get?
I got the first night. I got just decent sleep, a normal night of sleep, like 8 hours or something. It was fine. But the second night, I almost didn't sleep. Uh, I made most of the art in the second day, and yeah, as I said before, most of the time I spent on this game was making the art, because I made the weird decision to make all the levels hand drawn. That's probably something I would have done differently in hindsight. Oh, almost,
Almost, but I'll keep
almost.
trying.
That's
Uh,
something I would have done differently in hindsight, but yeah, and the last day I just did a lot of polishing for the game. I added this effect, like you can probably see if you hit the golf ball, it it pauses for a little bit, and that makes it
yeah.
really feel really juicy. I really like it, but how long it pauses also depends on how hard you've charged your golf club. So I try to make some of those effects to make the game feel better. I know Mark really appreciates that.
Yeah, the so-called like hit stop.
Yeah,
That's something I see in Smash Brothers, and Sakurai has
yeah.
called attention to it. Are you watching the Masahiro Sakurai video
Yes, I
series?
do. I'm a
Oh my
massive Smash
god.
Bros. Fan.
I just every time that I watch a video of his, I'm like, we don't deserve this. This is incredible. Like
Yeah,
this man sharing his knowledge in like such clean and concise, like easy to watch, and
yeah.
so thoroughly explained. Like just clearly a master sharing their work with the world.
I
I love
would
it.
honestly pay for it.
I know, and the fact that he's like, it practically like makes me cry when he made that first video on YouTube saying like, yeah, I don't expect this to make me any money, and I know that it's bad for the algorithm for me to upload separate versions in Japanese and English, but it's better that way, so I'm gonna do it. It's like,
Yeah, he just wants to do it.
dude,
It's
that's
so
yeah,
cool. And showcasing old like concepts for Smash 64.
yeah,
Like just game development lore that was lost forever, and now he just casually shares it.
yeah. No, it's wild. I love it. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think there's a. Oh my goodness! Well, here's a great opportunity to share Masahiro Sakurai on game development.
Yeah.
Just
You can
he's
also
uploaded a
press
video today.
backspace, hold backspace in my game, by the way, if you want to skip the level.
Oh, maybe just so I can showcase a little bit more of it.
Yeah,
I will do that. I will. Ooh, there we go. I see. Because there was only one more vanilla level after number 5.
that's true. That's
Okay.
the level in space.
Okay. Cool.
This
Whoa.
one is more difficult in my opinion. It's also
Oh.
probably the least polished.
Okay. I
Yeah.
see. Huh. Okay. What? Oh, I'm over here now.
Oh, hey, you almost got it already.
Okay. That's like my second try.
No
Okay.
way. That's great.
I don't know. Okay. Sorry, we kind of got on a tangent talking about the Sakurai. But yeah, so you didn't sleep well on your second night. A lot of was that was mostly the art, right? The
Yeah,
time it was taking to draw everything.
drawing every level by hand. Yeah.
Okay, so here we've got the storm remix levels. I'm playing those now. Yeah, so and this is the I guess the post gem version of the game that I'm playing now, right?
That's true. Almost nothing is changed, but I added a restart button, and during the jam, I had I was working. I was playing my game only in the editor, and
Mhm.
that's a mistake. You should always test your game if it works in the browser. But during the jam, I discovered that I used a system for my scene transitions that was case sensitive, and I accidentally copied and pasted some scenes and had the wrong cases. So that was really annoying. So during the jam, you couldn't exit one level and you couldn't enter one level, and one level would just replay after each other. So I was really frustrated with that, but I updated that after the jam, and it was all fine. But yeah, during the jam, I just left put in the description how to get all around all of those problems, and right now, right now it's just all fixed because I want the game to be polished.
Of course. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I both understand and I'm a little frustrated when there's like that like hard lock on like your game must be done by this time and you cannot make any changes to it whatsoever. It's like, I promise I'm not like adding more content to the game. I'm just fixing this one little stupid thing. But
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
that's part of the marathon, right? Like, the real answer is just rescope and try to leave more time for catching those errors that pop up throughout development.
Yeah, exactly. It was really just a dumb mistake, but I don't really blame the jam itself for it. It was
No,
just
no.
a stupid little thing that happened that I wasn't aware of. But hey, the nice thing is every game jam I learn a little bit of a new thing about Godot or Godot, and this time I know, oh, I should be careful with case sensitive text in scene transitions. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's nothing like the stress of a game jam to really impress those lessons upon your brain forever.
Yeah. True. Very true.
There we go. Yeah, so I'm gonna make it back to level 5 and then get stuck there all over again. Sarchini, thank you so much for the follow. Okay, so we already talked about potential like it's not that you plan on putting much development into this game, but like maybe some considerations like depending on how much it's going to contribute to the overall game. And so that being said, what else are you working on? Is there like a long-term project that you got?
So currently I'm working on a game called Monster Battlegrounds, and it uses some character designs from an old game that I already mentioned a little while ago. But yeah, it's a fighting game inspired by Smash Bros. Actually, hey, it comes all full circle.
There we go.
Yeah, but it's a fighting game, and I'm working on it right now, and it would be really cool if people played it. But it's not online yet. And
Gotcha.
also, I have a game on my itch.io called Silhouette Showdown, and I update it every once in a while, and it would also be cool to if people played that one.
Cool. All right.
There you have it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Flare2K2, thank you so much for hanging out in the stream. And yeah, Silhouette Showdown. So is this one also inspired by Smash Brothers, or?
Yes, it is.
I could have. I was just taking a guess because it's come up a few times in the conversation at this point. But yeah, I'd be happy to take a look at this some point. Like, it is multiplayer though, right?
You can play single player against the CPU.
Oh, okay.
I'm also working on a single player mode, but that's just it takes way more time than you expect when you make it. You plan it on time, and then it takes way longer. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So then, how about? Oh, of course. You know what? I skipped a question. What was the most difficult problem you encountered during the game jam, and how did you solve it?
Well, yeah, I think I already kind of answered it with my other questions, but the most difficult thing was making all the art because I just chose the wrong art style for this game, man. I just
Right.
should have really I think in the end, of course, I got top 20, so it was fine, but
Right.
it took way too long to make the art compared to doing all the other things. And yeah, that was one of the most difficult problems, and I just solved it by spending more time on it, by just not sleeping the second night.
Jeez. Okay. Well, in that case,
or barely sleeping.
Yeah. So in that case, like from in the actual like programming side of the game, perhaps aside from the art, what would you describe as like? I guess fundamentally, it's not a horrendously complex game, but was there anything else that sort of presented a challenge?
No, not really. Honestly, aside from, of course, the scene transitions that were case sensitive, and that was really frustrating, but that was already after the jam where I discovered that, and I couldn't really change anything anymore. But for the rest, it was just pretty simple because I code. I'm pretty quick coder, just in Godot. And yeah, for example, for scripts like the camera or something, that it always zooms on the player and the flagpole, and I just grabbed that from another game I made. So sometimes I just do things like that.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean, I think that is one of the main reasons I'm able to continue increasing the scope of the games that I develop each successive game jam, is because I'm reusing code, reusing art, reusing, you name it from previous jams.
Knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, knowledge, assets. Yeah, it's you're constantly sort of building that foundation up.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I've managed to beat every level in the game so far except this one.
Yeah.
This level 5. This is my nemesis. So I'll keep trying to bat away at it a little bit. Oh, that was almost it, actually, if I just hadn't hit it so hard.
You should charge the last one for really short.
Yeah, that's what I... It's hard to have the nuance to do that. Like
Right.
It's almost... I don't know why, but God, even that was super close. Anyway, we don't...
Almost.
Yeah, it's you're seeing it on like a few seconds delay, but
yeah.
I guess I'll throw this out. If there's anybody in the chat who would like to ask a question to be answered, then now's the time to do it. We've still got about another 8 minutes before the next interview, so we definitely got some time. So if there is anything else that you'd like to talk about with regards to this game or any of your others, there's definitely an opportunity to have that conversation.
Wait, are you asking like chat right now or me?
Oh, I'm kind of throwing it out to both chat and also to you if there's anything else that you wanted to say specifically, or if chat has any specific questions. But
subscribe to my itch.io. I try to upload games whenever I feel like they're done. So yeah.
Oh yeah, don't worry. I always give people an opportunity to plug their stuff at the end of the interview. But yeah, so you've got your itch.io page. Anything else?
I've got a YouTube channel also called WeenterMakesGames, exact same name, but I don't really upload it on it that often, but sometimes I do. I I copied it in chat. Oh, almost.
Yeah,
Yes,
please feel
there it
free.
is.
Yeah, yeah, you should be able to drop a link. Oh, oh
But
my
I'm
goodness.
planning on maybe making some more content on game development. But
Nice. Yeah.
I'll just look into what I want at that time, you know,
Do you have any
whenever
specific
I feel.
topics in mind?
Maybe game balance between different when there's like different characters in games or something. That's something that interests me.
Yeah, because as much as I'm a fan of like Smash Brothers myself, I haven't really had a chance to play the latest one just because of the pandemic. Like most of the friends
Oh,
that I would play in person with, at least, I just haven't had a chance to hang out with. So, have you gotten like? I guess it's always a consideration, especially if you're working on fighting games yourself. Yeah, I don't know. Do you want to get into a conversation about game balance?
about Smash Bros.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
like
we've gone up like
anything.
5 minutes, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, sure, sure. I I don't know. My philosophy is always kind of, or always. I made two fighting games. I'm talking like I know everything about it, but my idea is always that there should be counterplay to everything, and there shouldn't really be. Um, it's fine if some characters are just have just really strong options, uh, as long as there's just a way to play around it. Because the thing is, if people start have really strong options, they will start spamming it, and then it's also easier to counter it. So yeah, of
Did you
course,
ever? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
of course, don't just make one thing way stronger than the rest, but you can make some things like more stronger than others, and then just have enough ways to counter around it.
Did you ever watch Extra Credits?
Extra credits, yes.
Yeah, because they talked a little bit about like differences in kind and avoiding first order optimal strategies. Just the idea of like exactly what you're talking about now. Like you don't want to have any single option that is high power, low effort, because then people will just spam that one thing. Or
Yeah.
the entire meta will be about countering that one thing, and then that's not really fun.
Hmm.
It was something that I encountered back when I used to play Hearthstone. There was just one sort of deck that became so dominant that every other game you played was against that deck, and it was
Right.
just no fun to constantly be running up against this. And you just had to roll the die on like, does that person get lucky and this deck plays out
Yeah.
and works well for them, or do I have a chance at winning this? So yeah, it balance in a single player, you're spoiled because you don't have to worry about balance.
True. It can even be really fun if it's not balanced.
Exactly, exactly. And there's a fine line to walk between having something that is like game breaking but still fun, and like as long as like that's the secret, right? It has to be fun. Like if
Yeah.
it's overpowered to the point where it's actually boring or interfering with the player's ability to enjoy it, that's when it stops being fun.
Yeah. I completely agree with that.
But by the time you start getting into an actual multiplayer game with different characters that are supposed to square off against each other, like that's when the design and the balance gets really serious. And yeah, I don't. I guess I would, if it were up to me, I would probably take a very analytical approach, just like thinking about, okay, well, I've got a sort of mathematical thesis for why I think this is balanced, and then put it in practice observe like a dozen playtests and then see how does that bear out, you know?
Yeah.
Because I know that there are, I've heard discussion about games where there are these like really powerful characters, but then they people don't know how to play them very well. Because yeah, you run into a whole other issue. I remember seeing some discussions in Overwatch where like some character would get buffed, and people are like, "Are you kidding me? Why are you buffing that character? She's so strong." It's like, well, she's not played competitively. She's an easy character to play. I think it was Mei, the ice gun girl. At the time, people were complaining that like, "Why are you buffing Mei? I get killed by Mei all the time." It's like, well, no one plays Mei competitively, so they need to buff her, and
Yeah.
it's about not just balancing the actual power of the character, but also the skill requirements for playing said character. And yeah, it's difficult. So
Yeah,
it,
I think that the game should be, but it's almost maybe more important to balance the game on. Maybe that's not a good statement, but it's also very important to balance the game on a very low level where people don't really understand the mechanics that well. For example, I'm making my fighting game that I'm working on right now. There's one character that has really long range, and
mhm,
when I first pick up a fighting game, I think, oh, a long range character. This is so annoying to fight against. How will I ever get in? But yeah, I gave it way less health than the other characters. I gave it way uh, harder to escape from pressure options, and I think it's honestly a really bad character, a really underpowered character. But I think that if I would buff it, if I would make it better, then
mhm.
it would just get really annoying for the new players. So I'm not doing
Gotcha.
that.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you went sort of the like glass cannon route.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would certainly love to discuss it more. I'd love to try it out at some point if there is a like single player like versus CPU option. But we
Mhm.
are going to have to wrap things up there so much for now. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on the stream and discussing Ragdolf. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you. It was also very fun.
All
I'll
right.
just stay in chat for a little bit.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And yeah, enjoy your evening. Bye bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.